Hey everyone, how's it going? So it's finally time for us to insert the user into the database. It's the moment we've all been waiting for, so let's get right into it. So just to summarize what we've done so far, but basically when the user submits the form, we took all the data that the user entered and we've just made a check to make sure that it is valid, so it does have all the correct values. If it doesn't, we've output an error message to the user telling them to make sure that each field has a correct value. Okay, but assuming that all the data they entered is valid, what we've done is we've done this check here, which sees if there's a user in the database already which has that username or that email, and then in this part right here, if user is null, it means it didn't find anything in the database, so we'll go ahead and insert it. But if it hits the else block, it means that the user is not null, which means that it did find a user, and this user object contains that user. So what we've done is we have just then checked if the email is the one that matches, and if it is, we tell the user that, and if it's not, then we just tell them that the username already matches. Then we just show them the register page again. So yeah, that's pretty good, but like I said, now it's time to actually insert the user. So let's get right to it. So it's actually really easy to insert a user. What we can do is just say user.create like this, and then in there you just put the fields you want to add. That's it. So create is kind of like insert of a relational database query. You know how with MySQL, for example, you do insert into users and then the values you want to insert. Well, this is kind of the same thing. User.create essentially creates an object of this type. So it puts it into the users table. Okay. So what we're going to do then is just pass in the values we want to insert. Now we know that the request body here contains the first name, last name, username, email, and password. These are the things we want to insert. So what we're going to do is just start with that object right there. We're going to say just above that user.create, we're going to say var data equals rec.body like this. So this will already have all the fields that they entered. Now, there is one more thing we want to do though, and that's to hash the password. So eventually we'll do something like data.password equals, and then the hashed password, however we get that. But at the moment, I'm just going to insert the password in plain English, just so we can see insert, and we'll come back and then hash that afterwards, okay? So just bear with me for now. We'll just do a real simple insert just to make sure it works, okay? So for now, we can just take that data and just add it in there directly like that. And that should be it, you know, that should insert the user's data. So what we can do is just use a then block, because remember, the MongoDB stuff returns a promise, which means it operates asynchronously. So we need to specify a then block, which essentially is the code that it's going to do afterwards. So we can put an arrow function in there. Now, I think this gives us the user as the first object, but what we can do just to make sure is just put a console.log and then put user in there. So what I've done is we're getting the user. This will be given to us in the then block, and we're just logging it. So let's see if that works. So after that, it won't do anything because we haven't told it to go to any page, but that's okay. We'll come back and add that later on. For now though, let's give this a try. This should, in theory, insert a user into the database. Let's have a look. So database connection successful. Great. And if I press refresh, it should resubmit the form with the same data that I used last time. If you don't have this, that's fine. Just go back to the register page and enter the details again. And let's press continue and see what it does. So I think that's already done. Like I said, we won't see anything because we didn't render any page, so it's actually just hanging here. That's okay. But the console.log actually logged the user's data. So you can see it's got a profile pic right there. It's got the first name, the last name, the username. It's got the password. So this has added all the data we want, and we can even go and verify that by going to our cluster. So where am I going to? Collections right here, the collections tab, which remember is where all our tables or collections are. So from there, you'll see we've got this users table now. So if I go to that, and then you can see the data we have here. So this is that user in the database. That's all worked. Let's try this again. So what I'm going to do is go back and refresh the same page and essentially submit the form again with the same information. And hopefully we'll see an error because the email should match. And in fact, the username will match too, but I think it does the email case first. So that should be the error message we see. So if I press refresh, it's going to resubmit the form with all the same details. and should take me to the register page, and we get this email already in use error because, well, like I said, the email is in use. So the username, of course, is in use as well, but the email check comes first, which is why you're seeing that there. Okay, so yeah, we know that works. It's only inserted once, and you can even verify that by going to the users table, clicking refresh, and you should still only see the one user there. But essentially that's it. Now, there's a couple of things we're going to do to change this, but I think this is a great start. We finally got a user inserted into the database. Good job, guys.